R.S. Subramanian is SVP South Asia and Managing Director, India at DHL Express. He's a member of the DHL Express Asia Pacific Management Board. Over 3 decades of expertise in both the product-led and service industries. Wonderful to see you. Might I add, I wish I had a cabin like yours. A bit of nature, a bit of branding. How are you?
Oh, fantastic, Hrishikesh. Great speaking to you today. There are quite a few fans who follow your show, and it's great to come face to face with the big man of Radio One.
Very kind of you. I want to start with the Pole2Pole campaign.
Yeah.
It fascinates me that a company like DHL would involve themselves so actively in something which has far-reaching worldwide impact, might I add. So tell us about this.
So, see, our Pole2Pole campaign, if I had to say it in one sentence, the idea is to raise awareness and contribute to climate action. So it started as an interesting proposition from a group of DHL employees, a team who trekked to the North Pole. Yeah. And then a second team proposed to ski to the South Pole and climb the tallest peak in Antarctica. Yeah. So, and DHL is interested in anything which is connecting the world. Yeah. And DHL, as you know, is a global organization. We would like to believe that we are the most international company in the world, present in 220 countries and territories. So it's a fantastic opportunity for us to build a program around it, which will raise, not just give us a PR externally to speak about and build awareness on the need for climate action, but more importantly, energize our organization, which is a significantly large global team of close to 550,000 people, onto this cause of doing something about climate action. So that's the whole Pole2Pole program. So DHL teams are going to visit, but as a part of this program, we will raise about $100,000 or more, which will go to a global NGO for environmental charity, which is called Conservation International. Along with that, based on the volunteering and efforts which our people will do during this period of Pole2Pole campaign, we will also plant 100,000 trees as our contribution to the cause of better climate and green environment. What is the role of individuals? For example, how do we get these 100,000 kilometers? So we'll run a series of programs across DHL countries on one, awareness about the Go Green or the climate action needed from individuals. 2, about their needing to stay fit and healthy. And we'll encourage them to do fitness challenges. And we've committed to our employees that for every kilometer they walk during this period, we will plant a tree. So that's the commitment. And it's a very, very interesting program, a lot of bits and pieces, but it brings the thoughts together. And in a way, as we walk around the office, I can see it really energize the team into action. So how does it work? There is a flag which moves from the North Pole to the South Pole team, the North Pole team to the South Pole team. The team which trekked to the North Pole carried a flag, which is a replica of which you see behind me, which is the Pole2Pole flag. That flag is passing through about 100 countries through 2 routes when it reaches the South Pole team in New Zealand sometime in December, from where they will start their South Pole trek. So this week, the flag is in India. We got it from Bangladesh, and we are sending it after our week of activities to Pakistan. And from there on, it goes to different countries before it reaches New Zealand to the team. So in this 1 week, we're having organization-wide activities where people are involved in environment support activities, which is Go Green, and there's whole amount of volunteering for people to go around. And this, we've taken up tree plantation as the big activity. And second set of activities on fitness challenge. And there's quite a number of people who are actually walking nearly 20,000 to 40,000 steps a day.
Nice. DHL flag touches the North Pole. It's going to travel through 100 countries. I just wanted to add, it's 5 regions. So it's 100 countries in 5 regions. Am I right? Yeah?
You're right.
So it's divided into 5 regions, and this really is a connect like never before event, which is what the wonderful flag behind him says. Now, I want to just spend a little more time on the social change. You did briefly mention the social impact, But from a larger perspective, if you could spend a little more time on what you aim to achieve in terms of social change.
See, when you say social change, it is coming in many different parts. Yeah. As a company, what are we looking at? About a few years back in 2019, we made a commitment that by 2050, DHL will be a zero carbon company. Yeah. This promise came on the back of a prior commitment we made, which is to say that from 2013 to 2018, we'll reduce the absolute carbon footprint in our global operations by 30%. It's absolute number. It's not relative number, but absolute number. What we were emitting in 2013, by 2018, will go down by 30%. And we hit that target a year ahead of time. So then we thought that we were possibly setting less ambitious targets. And then we said, let's go for a full zero. So it's sort of a mathematical calculation to see how long it will take. And then we said, okay, 2050 seems to be a reasonable milestone. One of the reasons is that we fly, our network really guzzles carbon. Yeah, so therefore there is planes in the air, thousands of vehicles on the road day after day, and we run large facilities. And therefore, how do you ensure that we can do our part for the globe to move towards a carbon-free environment? So we approach our operations in many bits. Yeah. So one is to say that how can I ensure that the fuel we use is sustainable? Yeah, so we moved from fossil fuels into CNG, and now we have a big push to see how we can move into electric vehicles. That's one big push. So that's about vehicles. How about the planes? Yeah, so we partnered with a startup who's building an electric cargo plane. Yeah, so this is expected to be ready by 2024, and we hope to see by 2024 first fleet of 12 planes, which will be flying most likely in and around Europe. So that's one way of building. The second is that it's going to take a long time before you find the carbon offset for your flights. So we are heavily into what is called a sustainable aviation fuels, where you can substitute the fuel which is used for airplanes and other vehicles with sustainable fuel components. And therefore, we hope that about 30% of all the fuel we use over a period of time will get substituted by sustainable.
Nice.
This is about the vehicles we run. We are having a plan to convert all the facilities we run to have minimal carbon footprint, either because of energy they use, solar or green energy they will use, and the environmental practices will ensure that power consumption is minimal, and by design they'll be set as a low carbon footprint facility. As I speak, about 18%, if my statistic is right, 18% of all energy we use in our operating facilities are from solar. So therefore, the social impact from operation like us, there is no silver bullet. So we need to do 100 small steps, and all of them collectively will make the big impact as we gather steam.
I'm so glad you put that into perspective. You see, if there are skeptics, Subbu, who will turn around and say it's wonderful to do a pole-to-pole campaign, skiing to one end, marathon to the other end. But these are events and activations. What are you doing, the remaining 360 days a year? And what you've really talked about are innovative solutions which are really beyond the campaign on a day-to-day basis. So that's quite wonderful. Now, as far as DHL customers and people who ship with DHL are concerned, how does somebody who's a customer, how does somebody who ships with you also get involved in this particular campaign?
See, there are two aspects to it. Okay, so one is at our interface between DHL and the customer, because we are in the export and import business, international shipping. At a very basic level, there are hundreds of papers we used to use. Yeah. When I look around our operation and look at different operations, I think 90% of all the papers have gone out of the window. We used to make manual airway bills for shipping. We used to give physical shipping documents for export. We used to get shipping documents after import and post-shipping documents. Several pages have to go. Invoices every month, we used to submit 20, 30, 40, 50 pages to the customer, and supportings for that, and 2 copies and 3 copies for all of them. In the last 5 years, I think we now submit 100% of our invoices digitally. We get 100% of airway bills digitally. We do almost all export-import document filing digitally. Yeah, we nearly in paperless trade. Last time when we calculated once when the customs for express became electronic. Yeah, so we thought we were saving nearly 1,500 tons of paper every year. Yeah, so
Wow.
that you can do a bit of a calculation and say how many thousand trees we stopped cutting. So that's one part of the story. So why do I say it from a customer point of view? Because it's not enough if DHL becomes digital. Yeah, it's a handshake between me and the customer. If my customer is still physical paper, I am forced to handle more paper and more paper and more paper, and then do more work to convert paper into digital and then carry on. So therefore, we are at one end encouraged all our customers to go digital so that we go paperless. It builds efficiency for them. It builds efficiency for us. On the other side, so for example, all the logistics, the challenge with logistics is that it cannot become digital, right? I have to physically carry the shipment, put it in a truck or a plane and carry it to the other side. So therefore, the carbon or footprint which is emitted is a reality. Yeah, it has to be. There are only two ways of working to offset it, yeah, or working to correct the situation. One way we call it as offset. The other way is inset. So when I say offset, which is saying that Hrishikesh is shipping some shipments, 100 shipments with me every month. I do a calculation and Hrishikesh says, I want to make my shipping carbon neutral. So I tell Hrishikesh that possibly at a small premium, I will undertake activities elsewhere, create carbon credits for you and give you carbon credits so that you have neutralized the carbon which you emitted. The second way of doing it is I come and tell Hrishikesh that we are both doing business, we are both carrying 100 shipments. Let's both work on a project where I invest and improve my logistics operation so that the carbon emitted itself is removed. So this is insetting operation. So we have full-fledged programs with our customers, which are globally now being developed so that we are able to build partnerships, yeah, which will help us significantly reduce the carbon footprint. Because reducing carbon footprint is serious business, it will cost and it will need commitment. And that needs handshake from both ends of the spectrum. So we are now co-opting our customers to work with us. But one most important input which is needed for this is absolute clarity and visibility and granularity of data, which is to say that if am I able to narrow down and then say that 3 shipments which Hrishikesh gave me have emitted X kilos of carbon, and therefore what is the action needed on it? So that you are also owning to the challenge, and we are both working on it together. So it's a big program. It's going to be possibly the prime driver for one part of the carbon action which we are doing.
That's very well explained, very lucidly explained. What is your larger message to anybody who's listening or watching this? How can an individual contribute to the larger cause of treating the environment better, bringing a positive impact, no matter how small it may be? Because we know that the planet is going through a crisis as we speak.
Okay, very, very small things, right? So behind me in my cabin, I used to have 3-4 bottles of mineral water, so it's daily consumption. And therefore, every day I'm in some form or the other putting 4 or 5 plastic bottles into a recycling dustbin, but it is use of plastic. So we changed from paper cups and plastic bottles to reusable metal bottles and mugs for drinking water. So this is something which individuals can do. An organization and government need not mandate. Yeah, there are some single-use plastic guidelines, and it is important for Aam Aadmi or public to internalize it and bring it into their practice. Yeah. More importantly, I think at an individual level, what people should understand is segregation of wastes, minimize use of the bad items, but segregate waste and help recycling, help upcycling. What else can you do? You can add to the greenery around you. Yeah, you can add to the good practices in terms of usage of electricity, usage of more daylight, optimal temperatures in your room, not at 18 degrees, but work on 23, 24 degrees. If you don't need an air conditioner, don't run an air conditioner. There are several things which you can do, small things every day in your life. And are you walking where you can, and are you cycling where you can, and are you using fuel sensibly? Yeah. So, but these sound small, but this thinking adds to what you do at work and what you do at play. Yeah, what you do in your life. So it's internalizing the thought, if you ask me, is more important.
Nice. Also, again, just to add on to this, DHL is actually walking the talk. Subbu did mention right at the top, for those of you who've been listening and watching us from the beginning, how they're working in collaboration with certain NGO partners. They have an NGO partner called Sankalp Taru Foundation, and the employees are actually learning easy, practical DIY tips to turn waste into recycled bins and, planters, eco bricks. So I believe facilities are planning small upcycling sessions in their own ecosystem, and that is going to help increase the green quotient. And you already have tree plantations happening in Mumbai, Bangalore, Agra, trying to plant about 900,000 trees. Is that right, Subbu?
The two, three things which are happening. One is that we taught people about growing your own small kitchen garden. I'm a beneficiary. Now I run composting in my balcony, and I have
Fantastic.
I have 60, 70 plants in every nook and corner, so much so that if I bring one more pot, my wife will push me out of the house. Because it also brings the task of keeping the place clean and watering them and ensuring that they are hale and healthy, etc., etc. So therefore, we encourage people to do whatever bits. If people should have a passion for it, and we are finding ways to support it. Other thing which we are driving organizationally is, as part of our CSR program, one big aspect is on tree plantation. Yeah, this is a global commitment as well. We globally, the group has committed that we'll plant 1 million trees every year. And nearly a few 100,000 of it actually happens in India from the DHL group companies. DHL Express, my company, over the last 3 years, we planted about more than 50,000 trees. And this year, possibly, we'll add another 100,000 to it. So that's the quantum we are doing. We're trying to demarcate geographies where we are planting them, so that we know after a few years that this forest or this green foliage patch was created by us. But that doesn't carry the employees together. So we want to find out opportunities where employees can engage in urban plantation. So that is more volunteering and, get your hands dirty and get a feel of what is happening. I think because DHL says that there has to be a larger purpose, and you have to do something to align yourself to that purpose. So we are encouraging our people to find a purpose.
That's excellent. I really appreciate your time. Thank you very much, and keep inspiring not just your employees, but the rest of us.